Okay, so just a little disclaimer before I start. The only way I can present my PowerPoint is on my phone, so I'm going to do my best to present and let you guys see my PowerPoint. The only problem is you can't, so there are going to be times when I have to go like this so you guys are able to see it. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. When someone passes away, it's normal to feel pain and sadness. And sometimes all that grief just becomes so overwhelming. But what if there was a day where we could all normalize happiness and honoring the dead? In Spanish culture, there's a holiday called Day of the Dead, and it is 2 days every year around the same time as our American Halloween, where the society comes together to decorate and honor those who have passed away. Many of you have heard of the Spanish holiday Day of the Dead at least once in your life. Ironic to its name, the Day of the Dead is a loving holiday meant for those of Spanish descent to connect with their family, as they believe the boundary of the spirit world and the human world is lifted. This day is commonly celebrated with bright colors and marigold flowers of all colors, but specifically they try to focus on the gold. They have decorated altars called ofrendas, and the most common being Las Calaveras, or sugar skulls. Through extensive research, and as a former college-level Spanish learning student, I have learned that sugar skulls are not only the most popular cultural artifact in this culture, but it is also one of the oldest and most valuable artifacts to this holiday and culture. Las Calaveras, or sugar skulls, are again one of the most popular symbols of the Day of the Dead holiday and holds a deep connection within the families and friends of those who have lost someone important to them. Now, as I talk about these important skulls, I hope to influence and instill the importance of these skulls to you and help you understand their significance to Spanish culture. Right. We'll begin with their historical importance. Now, to begin, the sugar skulls were brought in by the Spaniards during the Spanish conquest. Now, back then there wasn't a lot of materials that were easy to access, so what they did is they took sugar and they took water and they put the two together, mushed it around until it became a paste. Once they got this paste, they molded it, shaped it into a skull. What they then did was decorated it. Some of them engraved initials, some of them with names, and that was to honor those who have passed away. Now, not all of the time were these used to honor those that were just dead. There were also, as time passed along, these skulls were gifted to those of people they appreciated, but back in the historical reference, they were used to honor those who had passed away. And it was a symbol of commemoration to the person with a skull-shaped sugar skull. The person of honor would have their name written across the forehead, and nowadays it would be placed in front of an ofrenda, which is an altar that is decorated with marigolds, foods such as there is a Spanish bread that's really popular around this time of year, just a whole bunch of fruits, a whole bunch of breads, some pictures of that who have passed away, some of their favorite things, and they were picked out perfectly to describe the person that had passed away. Now, the size of the skulls also did not have to stay the same, so there were typically two sizes of skulls. There were a larger one to represent the adults that had passed away, and then there were smaller ones that represented babies and children who had passed away. There's not one certain size skull in order to represent someone that died. Now, in modern society, many versions of the sugar skulls exist. That means in color, in size, and in decorations. So beginning with colors, the colors used were typically bright, and they had special meanings behind each color that was chosen whenever decorating these skulls. So, the red on a skull would resemble blood of those who have died. The orange would represent the sun. Yellow would represent the marigolds, which is, again, the most important flower in the Mexican history. There's purple, which represents the pain and suffering of those who had passed away. The pink and white is the purity and the hope. And then, of course, there is black, which represents the land of the dead. Like I said before, here's a picture of a colorful skull. As I stated earlier, you are also able to name the skull. So, naming the skull was done in order, again, to honor the person in their memory. Naming a skull was not required, it was not something everyone had to do, but if you wanted to specifically honor one person or a group of people, you were able to, for instance, take their name Sarah, write Sarah across the forehead, and place it on an ofrenda. Or if they were alive in modern days, they were able to give their skull to that person as a gift to honor their well-being and living personnel. And that's an example of one that has a name written on it. Alright, La Catrina. La Catrina was the most famous calavera. It was drawn by Jose Guadalupe Posada, which was a political illustrator around the year 1910. La Catrina was resembled as this skull right here. She was an old skeletal woman that wore a fancy and expensive hat. She was posed in order to resemble the high class, the upper class people, but she had a very specific meaning behind her. The meaning behind La Catrina was no matter how financially stable or how nice their clothes would be, everyone in the end dies. Now, she was used as an important figure in the Mexican nationality because it reminded them of how culturally different everyone is. Everyone's lives were super diverse, but they had to remain humble and fruitful to everyone around them. Now, there are a lot of different versions of La Catrina. The one which is the original black and white skull, that was the original La Catrina. Nowadays, there are more modern street art versions where she looks like this. She has a lot more color to her. She looks more like a human versus just a skulled old lady, and she's pictured beautiful. Either which way, her message remains the same. Everyone dies in the end. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you wear or what you do or where you go in life. Everyone dies, so make the most of your life. And it's kind of morbid, but it's a real statement. So what? Why does any of this matter about Las Calaveras? What's the meaning behind it? Las Calaveras are an important reminder to our own mortality, and it may be unpleasing to hear and even morbid, but death is not an option that we're able to just forget about. It's bound to happen one day. Life is sacred, and these skulls are a constant reminder to cherish life at all costs. Though these skulls have different shapes and different sizes and colors, all their meanings remain the same. Honor those who have passed. Honor those who are living right now, because life is short. Take advantage of it as often as you can, because before you know it, you could be the reason behind someone's calavera. This is an ofrenda as well. As you can see, there's pictures back here, the sugar skulls around here, all the bright colors, all the food, the candles. This is how they celebrate using Las Calaveras. Thank you for watching.